Peter looks up into the sky, reflecting on a time he once fought a guy named Thanos. He stood on the deck of the Titan's ship and punched him right in the face. Yet still, Peter had never truly seen evil until he stood on the bridge of his hometown and looked into the eyes of a man he's known most of his life. Norman is shocked at Peter's presence, as he killed Spider-Man with his bare hands long ago. But Peter says that was actually Ben Reilly. Surrounded by Norman, a few other villains, and several of his minions, all riding goblin gliders, Peter leaps into action. Over in the Oscorp building, several spider totems are still struggling against the Thor. They stand little chance against such formidable power. Outside, Gwen looks on and enters the Oscorp building. She meets up with the other totems, who say they need her help. Meanwhile, Peter comments on just how hard it is to use his webbing without his super strength as he swings through the city. Norman says this is embarrassing, and asks what Peter possibly plans to accomplish. The Baron captures Parker, who remains certain that his friends can handle things on their own. But they continue to find themselves outmatched against the Thor. Nothing they throw at her does any damage, while Spider-Ham is knocked into an adjacent room. This startles Electro, who flees, only to come face to face with the Thor. Thinking that Electro's powers might have an effect on Thor, Gwen convinces the villain to attack her, but it barely causes the woman to flinch. Realizing this is a losing battle, they instead direct Electro to destroy Norman's chair, in an effort to convince the Thor that they are not the real threat to Doom. The chair is struck by a bolt of lightning. Though not much seems to happen at first, the electric attack causes a feedback loop, and a massive explosion occurs within the Osborn Tower. Norman sees this and is enraged. He finds his chair still intact, but the Thor has been incapacitated. Osborn is pleased to see that this means that the chair, which he calls the Siege Perilous, works, and it has successfully tapped into the web of life. Though Spider-Man UK tries to stop the Baron, Norman is able to take a seat and prepares to activate his ultimate device. Elsewhere, Peter is being led to a detainment area when he runs into Spider-Ham. The two introduce one another, and Battleworld's most heroic pig frees his human counterpart. Together they are able to stop the Siege Perilous and badly damage Norman's brain by exposing the device to the power of Thor. But the Sinister Six arrive and threaten to take down all of the spider totems. Luckily, Spider-Man Noir and India are able to convince the villains that they are outgunned, and the bad guys surrender. With everyone held in captivity, the Baron of this domain is exposed as a madman, and the day is saved. The spider totems comment that as despicable as Norman was, the city is bound to fall into chaos without him, and the spiders know that they will be the only ones who can protect the innocent. Still, it will be nice to share the responsibility for a change. Hello and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden, and this is my recap and review of Spider-Verse number 5. So Joey is away this week on Joey-related business, and I'm filling in on the final issue of Spider-Verse. That's a little unfortunate actually, as I wasn't paying all that much attention to this particular tie-in. But I figured out what was going on pretty quick and was never confused by this comic. So props to the writers for creating a really accessible and easy to get onto story. And the writing is decent along with the art. Everything about this comic feels okay. The ending is fine, the story and writing are fine. It all just kind of reeks of mediocrity. I don't know, this story isn't doing anything for me. We just finished the real Spider-Verse, and this feels like a pale imitation of that story, which I already had mixed feelings about in the first place. The stakes in this Spider-Verse feel non-existent. The villains aren't particularly menacing or interesting, and if Spider-Ham ever was funny, he sure isn't anymore. The phrase beating a dead horse comes to mind. So do I recommend this comic? No. It is mediocre in a sea of tie-ins that vary from awful to outstanding, and there is way better comics out there. If you want a good Secret Wars Spider-Man story, you should really check out Renew Your Vows instead. I'm not saying Spider-Verse is bad, but it sure is bland. I mean, if you guys disagree, feel free to share why in the comments section below, but I think I'm being pretty fair about this one. Otherwise, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.